Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. Welcome to the update show of the week. This is like our not Thanksgiving, Halloween. Because Halloween's in a few days.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
We're
It
like
is.
we're in this is the hypiest of hype we could get for Halloween in terms of, the time frame. Well, I'm trying to get us hyped for Halloween here.
I'm
I'm
ready.
not it's not hitting me really. I need more candy, I think.
I already
Yes,
went through a bag, y'all.
candy.
Open a bag to test it. You got to make sure there's no razor blades or anything like that from the factories of the Hershey company or whoever.
Well, and
All them.
I went
Uh-oh.
to
Did you find a razor blade?
no.
Okay, good.
I was gonna go a different route,
Okay.
but I am normally not the person to complain about this. Now, don't even think of this as complaining, but I've already promoted it that way. I went to a Dollar Tree the other day just to look around for some stuff because it's a good place to get snacks.
Sure.
It's a good place to get movie candy.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that, but man, dudes, it was full. It was full of Christmas.
Yeah. They switch it over. You got to
And
go in like September.
And that's the thing, like, I'm not a, like, Christmas is too early person, but I am very much a, "Can we leave Halloween on the rack until Halloween? Could we do that?"
Right.
Yeah.
I understand
Right. Don't.
needing to share the space, and I understand downsizing Halloween as you sell out stuff, but, like, come on. Come on.
I will say we went early and got a bunch of little skulls, like tiny skulls, and
Mhm.
a garden rod thing, and
Mhm.
just drilled a hole in the plastic skulls and put them on the garden rod and made like a skull tower. Retail at Spirit Halloween, that thing would be like $35.
Look, they don't sponsor this podcast, and it would be weird if they did, but
Yeah.
Dollar Tree's got great holiday decor
They do.
because it's cheap. You don't need pricey stuff. It's gonna be in the attic or the garage for 10 months of the year, more or less. You could just get it from Dollar Tree and, like you just described, do some DIY and make it cool. I went to
Exactly.
Spirit Halloween for the first time the other day. First time this season, not first time ever, obviously. It
Sure.
was
Mhm.
great. Oh, let me show you what I got actually for
Oh,
the YouTube
wow.
audience.
Oh, the YouTube audience is getting a special
Drum roll.
preview. For the
Drum roll,
record,
please.
we
you're
hit our
listening.
YouTube subscriber goal thanks to you all. And
Mhm.
because of that, we are now going to
Ghostface.
be. Oh, look at that. This Ghostface blanket, I think, is what is
Let me
there.
put my earbuds back in so I can hear you.
I was going to say, hang on, before you tell us what that is, we are going to be in costume for the Halloween So Many Scares episode because we hit our YouTube
Mhm.
goal. So,
Mm,
okay,
mm.
now
I'm
I was
already
plugging while you were
previewing mine
getting.
slowly.
So,
Excellent.
what you got,
Excellent.
Josh?
This is a gigantic Ghostface fleece blanket that's very
That's what
warm
it
and
looked like.
soft. Yeah, I love it. That's the stage of Spirit Halloween shopping I'm in. Is like,
Excellent.
I know
just give
you've
me
got
something
you're
comfy.
slowly building a great movie den
I'm
over
trying.
there.
This would be close enough to in costume for this one.
Heck yeah.
Wrapped up. Yeah,
See, the thing is,
Halloween.
though, it's been too warm here in Oklahoma.
I
to
know
really get
I'm
the
in
Halloween
denial
spirit.
though. I'm
Yeah.
in
It's like
denial.
90s. It's not Halloween.
No, if I keep the AC up or down low enough, I think it's cold. That's the goal, I guess. But yeah, I have stayed inside and not watched a lot, but I've watched a couple during the hotter days. Some horror
Mhm.
movies. You guys been watching anything this week?
No, bad week for me.
Oh no.
But it looks like you guys have been up to stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, this is not a. Well, I guess you could call it. It's not a Halloween movie, but Garrett, you watched Woman of the Hour. I really want to know about that because
Ooh,
that's
let
that
me
new
tell you
Anna
about it.
Kendrick directed movie, right?
It is the Anna Kendrick directorial debut. And it
Yeah.
was really good. You know, there's I meant to look it up before the recording, but I didn't. So you all can go check. But there's a podcast about this particular serial killer. So the gist of the movie is Anna Kendrick is a woman who ends up on a dating game. And this is a true story for the record. This is based on a true serial killer and a true story of the 70s. And a serial killer ended up on the show as a dating contestant on the dating game as the same person or as the Anna Kendrick's character. She ends up picking him. And then, throughout the movie, it kind of goes back and forth of Anna Kendrick and getting, her background of being an actress and, getting on the show. And then you see the killer and his kills and his life. And then I'm not going to lie, it's kind of back and forth. It is a little difficult to explain as far as the structure. I think that is the biggest critique I have of the movie is that it does a lot of back and forth jumping and I had to back it up a couple of times just to make sure I was following it correctly. That is my biggest critique. Having said that, and giving the general gist of the story, it is really creepy. She really builds tension and she put a lot of thought into how it looks. The dating game scenery and the costuming of the time period, it's really good. There's a scene where she is interacting with the serial killer and realizes that she's not really into this. And they have an uncomfortable exchange, and they're alone at night in a parking lot, and she starts to walk back to her car, and then in the
No, no,
background, you
no.
see him just kind of following her, and it's really
No, no,
creepy.
no,
So
no.
she does a really good job of sucking you in, and the story itself, just because it's true, is really engaging. But it's an hour and a half. It
Mm,
bounces back and
quick.
forth. It needed a little longer to breathe, and I think some of the structuring issues can be a problem. But overall, very good. I really enjoyed it. Would highly recommend it.
All right. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that. It's been on my list. Once I heard about it, that Anna Kendrick was directing a movie about a dating game murderer, I was like, yeah, down. In for that.
I recommend the true crime podcast too, because again, you get a little bit of the history,
Yeah,
and so for me, that adds some of the context. Because you know, serial killers are interesting, but this one doesn't look at him so
unfortunately.
much as like his mindset and his thinking and his process. It is a lot of characters, and it's more
Mm.
just how they all kind of are connecting. So it was. I appreciated that it wasn't just the same thing. It felt different. It looked different. I liked it.
Okay. All right. That is Woman of the Hour on Netflix right now. Check that out. I watched to get me in the mood for our last movie of the So Many Scare season, The Blair Witch Project. I watched another found footage film. Have you guys heard of The Taking of Deborah Logan?
Heard
No,
of it, not seen it,
Gotcha.
wouldn't see it.
Well, this it came out in 2014, so it's 10 years old, and it is about a well, so there's a documentary crew who are making a medical documentary about this woman, Deborah Logan, and her descent into Alzheimer's and kind of her adult daughter becoming caregiver for her. Um, but it as the Alzheimer's continues to develop, something much more aggressive and otherworldly begins to occur, is the best way I can describe it. Um,
Okay, okay,
I could compare that particular aspect to, like, The Visit, Garrett, I know
okay,
you've seen that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it's interesting. It's also pretty short. It's another pretty close to 90 minutes. Not really any big names attached to it. I found it's on Prime right now, so you can check that out there if you want to, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I there's so many found footage movies that go with the documentary angle
mhm.
specifically, and sometimes it worked for me here, sometimes I was like, "What are" I have questions about your ethics and things like that as filmmakers. And then also it's one of those situations where every character in the movie could, like, turn on the lights and it would help a lot. So, like, those criticisms aside, it was
Yeah,
still a pretty fun watch. I gave it 3 stars, so
nice.
I recommend it for at-home streaming to get you in the mood for Halloween, especially um, if you like found footage for sure.
interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
Alright, well,
Yeah.
that sounds like a pretty good what year did that
I
come
was gonna
out?
say, I don't think I know that one. It's not one that rings any bells, so
It's
maybe I should check it out.
2014,
Yeah.
2014.
Well,
I only know
again,
it for one
did not watch
specific
horror movies.
reason.
Right,
Even I would have
right.
been, I don't know how old I would have been, but I wouldn't watching it though. I would have been
I
in the
really only
20s,
know of
so
it
I'm doing it.
I really only know of it because it's on my wildly popular dark room red posters list on Letterboxd, and it's it's one of those movies that I'm like, "Yeah, not likely to watch that."
Well, I'll tell you, it's got an even 3 on Letterboxd, and one
Mhm.
of the top reviews says, "Old people are terrifying."
Yeah,
Anybody of note in that?
No. Not at
That's
least
how it
not to
always is
my
with found
note.
footage movies, you know?
Well, yeah, I guess that's kinda the point. You're not gonna see a found footage movie with, Tom Cruise, that'd be weird. No
Exactly.
one would buy it. Like, they wouldn't
Mhm.
believe it. "You just found Tom Cruise." Although, we might talk about this slightly more later in the week, a tease to our Blair Witch Project again. You got movies like Cloverfield that have some names, some, like, low-level names in there at least. They weren't huge at the time, but it
Yeah.
can be done.
Mhm. Mhm.
But, yeah, you're right, most of the time it's not.
They should have done, what was that movie with all of the comedians and the apocalypse?
Oh. Oh, what was that?
Some
Yeah,
the end of
Seth
the world,
Rogen.
right?
This
This
is
is
the
the
end, I
end.
think.
Yeah, they should have done that found footage style.
That would have been funny.
That could have been pretty interesting.
I do think at this
Um
point in time, we should just have a found footage conversation.
Oh,
I think
sure.
at this point in time, I like the idea of one being funny because it has been done so much in horror that it is time
Mhm.
for like an actually good kind of a spoof, but not even a spoof,
Yeah.
just like something like that where it is Zombieland, but found footage.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, it is it is does seem to be predominantly horror movies that utilize the genre or use not even the genre, but utilize that, style of filmmaking. I mean, and there's been like since the Blair Witch Project specifically, there's been dozens and dozens of them.
Yeah.
And prior to the Blair Witch Project, there really hadn't been that many. I think prior to that movie's release, there'd only been maybe 10 to 15 ever made, going back to 1961. So it really exploded after 1999. And it would be interesting. The director, one of the directors of the Blair Witch Project, said that he thinks that he does think that that style, that format, whatever you want to call it, will start branching out into other genres over the next few years, just because horror may have run its ground in terms
You,
of that particular thing.
you can listen to
You
more
might
of
think.
us talk about Blair Witch next week or and on Thursday on Halloween.
Mhm.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's
later
like
this
right
week,
around the
yeah.
corner. Holy
I
crap!
know. That's
Mhm.
what we're saying. We're in the mood.
I
The
know.
Halloween mood.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about a couple of news stories going on this week that's got a lot of people buzzing online. At least for the first one, I
At
don't
least
know.
us.
Speaking of 1999, another of the great comedies to have come out. Everybody knows this. Many are saying it. Blue
Mhm.
Streak. Martin Lawrence's Blue Streak is getting
Mhm.
the long awaited and long demanded sequel
By who?
by Martin
By
Lawrence.
whom?
By those of us who found that movie on DBS and decided to buy it on
Yes,
DVD, there's a good chance I
that
actually
was
saw this
me.
movie in theaters because I will be honest with you, I loved Blue Streak. Girl,
It was a
Okay,
bop. It was a pretty fun movie. I gotta be
when
honest.
when I saw this hit the news feed, I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. I can't it's one of those where it's like you see it and go, "Why?" I mean, that's the only response to this. I again loved that movie, but
And
I don't want a sequel to
well,
it.
and I gotta be straight with you. I watched this probably like you, Garrett, on at the very least, I watched this on TBS. I know it was TBS a
Yeah.
lot. It was Martin Lawrence, Luke Wilson,
Luke Wilson.
a
Oh,
bunch of other people are in there,
Dave Chappelle's in
and
it.
I probably was honestly not mature enough to really even get the movie because there's a lot of, it was 1999, so there's a lot of, you know, Rodney King style references
Octavia Spencer's
and
in it.
yeah, that type of stuff. So like, I mean, it's kind of a crazy movie. But yeah, I also like the time to do a sequel to Blue Streak would have been 2001,
Yeah,
2002,
for sure.
anytime in the immediate aftermath. I know that there's an element of like, hey, Bad Boys came back and it's bigger than ever in some ways. So let's cash in. But like, I was there that big an audience for a Blue Streak sequel? You could have just made a new movie with
You
Martin
could have
Lawrence, and it probably the same amount of work.
well,
I'm
that is
go
the
ahead.
thing. Is there's a lot of people when anything is announced who say you could have just made a new movie with that person instead of making it blank the sequel. And so
Yes.
this is it. This is just more of that. This is
Right.
only happening because of Bad Boys for Life. This is the only reason
Right.
it's happening.
And that's what and it's
Eh,
interesting because again, you people think the sequels and name recognition have property, but like this has such, I would imagine, minimal name recognition. I again
mhm.
it was very niche, and I feel like most people would not remember it. until it, like, was shown to them or explained to them, and they were probably like, "Oh, yeah, I was probably saw that on TBS at some point in time," back in
Just
whatever.
because I've got just because I've got the stats already pulled open, is the number 32 movie of 1999. So it's not like this was like a gangbusters movie that never got this like never got the sequel it deserved or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like making a sequel to Varsity Blues now, although that actually did pretty well. I mean, that did worse than Blue Streak at the theaters, but that also gained
I feel like
its
Blue
own
Streak,
cult following.
the thing that I mean, I remember the movie, but I think that this is the movie that also kinda took Martin Lawrence out for a while because there's this action sequence where he is, like, hanging on the side of a truck or something like that, and I think he did his own stunts to some level, but I think he had, like, a heart issue, and that scene and that stunt, I'm not confident, check me on this, people, but it I think it took him out because of his health issues, and they weren't sure he was gonna be able to act again, so, that's, I feel like, one of the things that I remember outside of this movie, so there's some stuff there, but it's very strange.
Mm,
Very strange.
mm-mm.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was well, yeah, I mean, and he followed this up with Big Mama's House. So, I honestly am surprised we're not getting a Big Mama's House 3 or 4 or whatever
Oh,
as opposed to
there's
Blue Streak.
already a 1, 2, and 3, my friend.
So there you go, Big Mama's House
Yeah, oh,
4.
yeah,
I'm surprised we're not going with that.
right, right. No. Um,
Or Black Knight 2.
oh, Black Knight, I forgot about that movie.
It's a good
I
one.
f yeah, Martin. Yeah, that's what'll be next, though. You're right. If Blue
Yeah.
Streak 2 does well, he's going medieval, baby, again.
Yes. I'd watch
Renaissance
that.
man. In opposite of announcement of a new movie news, we got an announcement of a Nevermind from Marvel. They've taken the Mahershala Ali Blade movie off the schedule completely. Um,
For 2025, yeah.
yeah, for I don't know how many a time it's been pushed back or delayed, but enough to have become a running joke even before this that there would only be one Blade. Wesley even said it in a movie recently.
At this point in time, he is to be believed.
He is
It
to be
doesn't
believed.
sound
It's
like,
interesting.
yeah, this movie cannot get, on track. So, even if they were to release it, I feel like it wouldn't, unless they just totally tear it down and rebuild it, I
Mhm.
don't really think that there's much left. They may as well just take it off the table. They've got 17 million other projects they're working on, so this one won't make a difference.
What I'm
Might as
wondering is
well
how long do they how long does Mahershala keep dragging along?
I'd bounce if I were him. Go do something
I'd
else,
bounce
man. I
too.
desperately
Like,
want you to be Blade. I love Blade. I want Mahershala to be Blade. If there were to be a Blade that take it from Wesley Snipes, it'd be Mahershala. But go on, do something better.
yeah, I'd bounce. I don't
Yeah,
trust him.
I don't think he's, like, he's allowed to go off and do other things until it gets figured out,
But he doesn't need the Marvel
yeah,
bump. At
it's
this point in time, I don't even
no.
trust the Marvel bump.
Well, it was gonna be a good gig, but, we'll see what happens.
Maybe.
Because they don't have to do it right now, they can put it off until whenever they want, if they wanna and it may be the fact that Blade as it happens doesn't happen, but they can utilize this is what I'd rather have anyway at this point, just utilize Mahershala Ali as Blade in some other facet. Put him in some other movie where he fits, and then you can, kick the can down the road until you can make a Blade movie or a Blade Disney Plus movie or something like that. Just take your time, do it whenever it feels right. And I'd rather them cancel a project than rush something that doesn't work.
Agree
So,
with that.
you know, I think that
Yeah, they big goofing though.
they got a lot of other stuff that they got going on, like you said, Garrett. Just work on that. But
They released Deadpool Wolverine, made Blade popular again, and then whipped it out from everyone under the rug. They walked into their own damn joke. Like, you got like they're goofing big time. They're
yeah,
goofing
I
so
mean, and it
bad.
can't be. It has to. It's worth mentioning
They
that
Charlie Browned themselves.
this movie has suffered from just miles and miles of bad timing. They first announced that they were like, okay, we've cast Mahershala Ali and working on the project. Then you have the pandemic that sets back basically their entire 2020 slate to move everything back to 2021. So, earliest best case scenario was it was going to come out in 2021, but you moved everything back there. Then, right as they start to get something figured out, they have the writers and actors strike, and that pushes it back even again. So, if they're lucky, they'll get this thing sorted out one day, and we'll have a Blade movie. I'm not that worried because honestly, at the end of the day, if we don't get another Blade movie, I'll live.
True.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know that how much I really want it as much as I just want them to quit promising things.
Right, at this point in time,
Mm.
I don't want it anymore, so
Yeah, I
just
Well, I
take
want
it
mean,
them
off
to
the
shut
table,
up.
like yeah, you just take
generally
it off the
speaking,
table.
they had a great
Take it
track
yeah.
record for a long time. That was what appealed to people was that they could come out and say, "This is our plan, this is our roadmap, and you guys were, we're being transparent with you. This is what we're doing." And then you look across the way at like Sony or Warner Brothers or even within their own company at Lucasfilm, they're like, "We're really not sure what we got coming next. We're kind of doing it." Yeah, and like things just felt like okay, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what they don't know how to set this thing up. They don't even have this or that. And Marvel was like, "Look, here's our schedule. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we promised to work on." And then for the most part, they would succeed at that. They announced Brie Larson as Captain Marvel like 3 or 4 years before that movie came out, and so
I guess
like
the difference is back
they
then they kept what they said. They stayed on the
yeah, I mean
plan, and they don't anymore.
everything was going everything was going great until 2020, then boom,
Yeah,
everything became more difficult.
they've reached the less is more stage, and James Gunn has a
Mhm.
chance. There's
He
an
does.
opportunity for him.
Well, and I
Although,
think James Gunn
I
with
think
DC,
it's
they've got it.
funny
Yeah.
that they just drop I mean, I know that, Joker 2 is not part of James Gunn's DC verse, but it's one of the
Mhm.
ongoing projects from the before time. I
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
love that as DC continues to release its last batches, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Like, they
Mhm.
keep getting worse, and that
Yeah.
sets James Gunn up, I think, with this Superman movie, if he
Yeah.
pulls it off, um, it could be saved. Because I mean, I already saw the jokes after Joker of and a valid question. We couldn't watch Batgirl, but we had to watch this? I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because
It's, like,
like,
universally reviled.
there's still a lot of confusion, I think, amongst general fans as to who has what call, who makes what call.
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn seems to have a lot of leeway to do certain things, but he also didn't seem to be his choice whether or not that Batgirl movie got canceled.
Right,
So
like,
there's
I
still
don't
some confusion on that level, but like, yeah, I mean, the thing is teed up for him to come out and really make a new fresh start with the DC characters, with Superman, with not really with Batman, because Batman's kind of been rolling
he's still
along
doing
basically the
fine,
whole
yeah.
time. But with these other characters that there is a genuine investment and interest from broader fans, and not just the hardcores.
Could be interesting. I mean, competition is good, and maybe we're seeing a shift. Maybe we'll see a shift back toward DC under
Yeah,
James Gunn, and maybe people will be like, "Ah, Marvel, I never know. All I want from life is a Blade movie, and they won't give it to me. I'll go to
yeah,
DC now."
yeah. And someone said this, like, man, Marvel is like in their downfall period, and then Deadpool Wolverine came back, and they went, oh my gosh, it's back, it's good again, or whatever, right? And I said,
Yeah,
be
yeah. So
honest,
you got to
a
look
3 year
past that
down
crap.
period really isn't that bad when when you consider the longevity of things. If they can swing back around, we could be eating good around the neighborhood if you are a
Applebee's
comic book
style.
fan.
Yeah, very, very fun. But well, actually, transition wasn't going to work. Let's talk about the box office
Speaking
for
of
the
Marvel,
week. Well, that's kinda what I was gonna go, but it's not really the same, but
no, it's Tony.
we did get a new Marvel movie from
Mm.
Sony, from Venom: The Last Dance, which so I saw the first 2 in theaters, and I feel like I have to go see this one.
Yeah, you
I don't
do.
really wanna,
You have to.
but
You're
it's
required.
kinda just like I vibe. That's just the vibe. I feel like I must.
I think you should. I
Yeah,
don't
this
think
thing.
you're gonna get anything out of it. Or
No.
I don't think it's gonna be a bad thing. I think you'll
What
Meh.
do you got the AMC Plus member super program for, or
Well,
not?
that's exactly it, is like,
If not this,
I don't have a issue with Venom. The Venom movies, other than they're just kinda like, meh, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I've only seen the first one, and I thought it was not great, so I did not move on.
it was not
I've not
great.
seen any of them.
But every time they come out and I watch it, it's because I was like, "Well, that's out."
I mean, it made $50 million. Sorry, David, I jumped the gun there a little
No,
bit,
yeah,
but
Yeah, it's alright.
no,
They do well.
a pretty good opening. I mean, I think 50 million plus is always a good opening weekend. Um,
Certainly better
I
than
mean,
Joker 2, and that's a shame.
better than Joker 2. Like 50 million is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
However, I don't know the level this has to get to reach profitability. But it brought in 51 million opening weekend. That was enough to knock Smile 2 out of the number 1 spot and down to number 2 with 9.4 million. Adult Vatican drama Conclave
Mm.
starring one of the Fiennes brothers. That brought in 6.5 million. Did either of you guys get a chance to see Conclave?
No,
No.
but they try so hard to make the Pope a compelling film figure, and I just don't know that
Yeah.
he ever is. It's the Pope.
I don't know. Throwing back to some year, 2022, 2021, I don't remember what years. I did like The Two Popes. That was a pretty good film.
I don't even
Anyway,
remember that one.
at number 3, you have The Wild Robot with 6.5 million. We Live in Time, starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, brought in 4.8 million.
I wanna see
And
that, but I know I'll cry.
and at number
She has
5, you have
cancer in the
Terrifier 3.
trailer.
That's you already know going in.
You already know
Tears.
she's, like, in the
It's
trailer.
it's I mean, honestly, I don't know what to think about that movie. It kinda looks like Hallmark on a big budget.
I think that's what it is.
At number 5, you have Terrifier 3, bringing 4.8 million, and now Terrifier 3 has become the highest earning unrated film of all time.
Can we ask a question here real quick? Not long because we are almost out of time. But like, what is
Mhm.
with the lack of actual horror movies coming out around Halloween time now? Like, it does not seem like there are many
They do seem to
horror
put them in
movies
other
going.
times of year.
But why?
I
Put
don't
them
know,
out
but you're right.
now.
I think you're right.
Like, I think I get the counter programming, but because you're counter programming, you're not giving me the programming at the time of the programming.
It
I
does seem
know,
strange.
releasing them sort of early in October so that they're all around makes sense because you still have Smile 2 in there, you still have Terrifier 3 in there. I think in some places you do still have the re-release of like The Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus are still out there somewhere.
I'm
Beetlejuice
talking
is
about
still in
new
theaters. That's
stuff.
not really a horror movie, but
I'm
new
talking about
stuff.
new
Yeah, yeah.
movies. Give me
Yeah, that's
new
the
horror
problem.
movies.
They're putting old movies back in because there's not new horror movies or other
Yeah.
Halloween-friendly fare.
And you could have saved some movies like Speak No Evil. I don't think The Heretic debuts until next weekend.
Yeah, The
So
Heretic comes out in November, I believe. Um, I'm sure there's some kind of based reason, but I don't know it.
Probably.
Let's
It could have
Boo, I
something to
say to
do
you.
with
Boo.
I could see, like, maybe in the past this will be my last little thought on it, maybe releasing them in the summer or so that they would be on home video for October for rentals,
yeah.
Yeah.
but that's not a
That's
thing
probably a
that's not
strategy.
really a thing anymore, so I'm
And you don't
not
really have
Well,
any
still
big
for
name
streaming.
horrors coming out on streaming that I'm aware of.
not
Still
so
streaming.
much.
Trap just released on Peacock.
That's true,
So
it's not
I don't know if
great.
that's scary, but
No, Smile 2 is a much better version of Trap.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Even
Fair enough.
being about a pop star to that level, it's the same but better.
well, anyway, that's your box office recap for this week.
Shred. I lost my place. All right, let's recap what we're finishing off the year with here as we wrap up. We are jumping into next month with our 1999 theme. We've been talking about it all month long. We're getting ready for 1999 November. Party like it's 1999. It's never. I don't have anything but that. I don't.
Party like it's 1999 Vimber is good. Is amazing.
Just keep.
Put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Add it to
Mhm.
the
Put it on a
t-shirt.
shirt.
Put it on the back.
We're doing that. We're doing that. And the best part about that is the Blair Witch Project is kind of like our little bridge into that. Horror
even just
and
be
99. So stay
Yeah.
tuned for that later.
99 November.
We're gonna announce our for the rest of our picks for that probably in next week's updates episode. Fingers crossed. No promises, but fingers crossed that we'll do that. And then So Many Santas to wrap up the year. Which one are you guys more excited for, you think?
I gotta be honest. Always looking forward to So Many Santas. What a
Always,
great
yeah.
time of year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Santa's. No offense to
Okay.
1999.
Yeah.
It's a
not.
great
Oh,
year.
we're
of
gonna have a-
movies, but
We're gonna have a blast with that as well. But
Right,
Christmas
sure.
time, it's a different vibe.
The only reason that or the only thing that gives Christmas or So Many Santas a disadvantage is the fact that we've done it so many times. It does get harder for us each year, I think, to pick something.
Yes.
Versus
Although I
doing
think I know
something
what I
brand
want
new.
this year.
Ooh, of course you do. Of course you do. So stick around for that. Follow us on Instagram at So Many Sequels Pod. We will post about stuff there as well. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just recently hit our last goal of 316. We're at 320 right now. I don't really have a
Nice.
thing to tie that to. That's just a cool number. But
Yo.
obviously, subscribe. We can keep that going up. We're going to set a new goal soon. We'll let you know what that is. But go ahead and subscribe on our YouTube channel or in your podcast app, wherever you prefer to get the show. And if you join us on Patreon, patreon.com/so-many-sequels, you can talk to us on Discord. Join us there, where we post about movie news, TVs, what we're watching, all that good stuff. That's it. That's all. We'll see you all next time.